just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are them go so confused the call. Now by area why no better. We are them go so confused the call. One guy's out here why no better. Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, he need it now, see what I see so. Now your friend on a nine come at them. Only baby obeka nice and yeah. So I want one over you. Everybody was afraid. And when you nan to my cottage again nine. Once my boy dumping one and but who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nan so be an person can want some because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Aku could draw for you na dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow your man set to me be a cacobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo. When you know yet. Na so kutrata down na so be dia back or why no keke. I fene for be man mo pia for efo ne cross on my mo. Hanya safwe mo ayini. Aku drop for you na dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachi sa udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC silence. Even journalists silence. So then who go say the truth? Right is right. Wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless, no they mean senseless. Poverty, no they mean useless. One day, then go resist.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to MyView Show here live on TodayGhanaNews TV. Well, once again, it's another Monday evening, and as is the custom and tradition here on TodayGhanaNews TV, on Monday evenings, we do well to bring you the best and topical socio-political discussions there is on air. And this evening is nothing new, and we are going to bring you yet another interesting topic for your enjoyment and understanding. In continuing with our discussion last week we were joined by our ever affable Mr. Conrad Domba, who is the chairman of NDC UK Ireland chapter, who joined us to discuss the events on the war in the, well, some people say West Asia, some people say Middle East, between Israel and the US on one hand and Iran on the other hand, and its impact on the politics and politics in Ghana. This week, we are continuing with some political discussions, but this time around, we are going to come back home and deal with political matters as they happen in Ghana. If we cast our minds back, we would have noticed that somewhere around this time, between the months of March and April, this was probably the time when the current ruling government, the NDC party, which is now the ruling party in Ghana, probably started putting in place, setting up the government to administer the state of Ghana. So 1 year down the line, we want to take a discussion, want to take a deep dive into the administration of the party in government so far, probably 1 year into their governance or steering the affairs of the country, to see what are some of the tangible achievements that the government have chalked so far, and what are some of the gaps that are left yet to be done, and what are the prospects moving forward. I said we are going to talk about uh, the governance of the NDC party in power, and well, it goes without saying that we cannot discuss the governance of the NDC party without having an NDC member who would help us to do justice to this matter and to understand their point of view of the governance of the country Ghana so far. So that is why this evening we are going to be joined by an NDC member who would help us to understand this better. But before we invite him to join us, we would like to say a very big thank you to all our viewers and listeners who are joining us all over the world. We say a big thank you to our listeners who are joining us on Sakina Information Center in Tatali. Also, we welcome our listeners who are joining us on Adelimai Information Center. Also, we are welcoming our listeners who are joining us on High FM 93.7 in Achiuhima in the Eastern region. Also, we welcome our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra. And for all our viewers and listeners who are joining us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on whatever platform you are joining us from, you are warmly welcome to today's discussion. And just before I welcomed you, I said we're happy to be joined by an NDC member. Today, our guest for today's show is an NDC communication specialist. He is in the person of Mr. Dennis Andaban. Andaban is the communication officer of the NDC party in the Dafiema Buse Esa constituency, and I guess not only constituency but district as well, right?
Yes, please.
Great. Thank you very much, Dennis, for making time to join us.
Thank you. Let me say a very good evening to you and your solid production team. For some time now, I have been monitoring, especially when it has to do with discussions on politics. And I must say that you guys are doing fantastic. Let me thank you for today's opportunity to, at least today is my first time being on your revered platform. And I believe I'm going to do my best for us to do justice to the topic.
We indeed are happy to have you, and to have you for the first time join us on the show. But also make time to also join us when we are dealing with the social matters as well, not only the political matters.
Certainly, I'll do my best.
Great. So you are the communications officer for the Dafiema Isa Busi Isa DBI, right, for short.
Yes, yes, DBI for sure.
Yeah, because we have viewers and listeners from a wide array of places. Maybe probably a good place to start from would be for you to try to make us understand where your constituency is located in Ghana.
Okay, the Fiamma Buse Isa, it was formerly called Nadoli East, but now the Fiamma Buse is located in the Upper West region of Ghana. It shares boundaries with the popular Nadoli Keleo district. It shares boundary with the Wa municipality. It shares boundary with the Sisale East, and it shares boundary with the Jirapa municipality. So basically, we are in the Upper West region, largely a farming area with a very good human resource potential. So I come from a very proud district, the Fiamma Buse Isa.
Well, that's interesting because from your description, that means that you share boundaries with my home district, Naduli Kaliu, and you also share districts with or metropolis with my metropolis of residence, which is the Wa metropolis. So probably we have a lot of things in common. Let's see how this
Sure.
goes. But
Yes.
in your introduction, probably this will be a good point to start from. You also said that is your district or your constituency is predominantly a farming constituency, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So let's start from agriculture. Sometime last year, um, I think, yeah, maybe at the peak of the farming season, uh, there were reports of bumper harvest, and the Upper West in particular, particularly your neighbors, somewhere in the, I don't know whether in the north or in the west, Sisala districts. The I think probably Sisala East district came up for mention as one of the districts that was probably overly blessed with a lot of food supplies. They to the extent that there were reports of food gluts, especially maize. Is your district one of those districts that also happened to experience this issue of food glut sometime last year?
Yes. My district is part of that food glass. If you look at the eastern part of the Dafiama Buse Isa, that is the Kajuperi area. That is also Sisala by way of tribe. So they speak Sisale, and that place, in fact, there are a lot of large scale farming going on there. So many people from the western part and even from Nadoli Keleo and the Wa municipal, do go there to engage in large scale commercial farming. So yes, the Fiamma Buse is part of this issue, which I would describe as both, a blessing in disguise, because one major problem of agriculture in our area is the unpredictable nature of our rainfall pattern. And so anytime we experience a bumper harvest of the sort, we say that it is a blessing. It comes with its own problems also. But by and large, I think it is the dream of every farmer to have bumper harvest. In the heat of it, farmers complain that they had to sell their produce at a throwaway prices in order to curtail the situation of having their produce wasted in farms. I hope you remember government had to intervene by asking the buffer stock to go into the markets, particularly in the Sisale East, to intervene by buying some of those produce like maize in particular and in bulk, so that such will be relied on to feed our senior high schools. So I think that has, in a way, curtailed the situation. Of course, it might not be 100%, but I think that it helped the farmers in the Upper West region. And mind you, food security is one aspect of governance. And so where we have enough and the buffer stock is in the market intervening, buying and storing some of agricultural produce. At the best time, I think we are going to be the beneficiaries of the storage that the buffer stock is doing. And so, yes, we experience it, but with time, I think the situation has become better. The complaints are no longer as it were during the initial stages of the harvest. And I think that it is good. Over the years, anytime we had to discuss inflation, the Upper West region normally records the highest average of inflation, sometimes more than the national average. So Upper West region have been facing food inflation. And so with this kind of bumper harvest, prices of agricultural produce are very stable and down, and everyone is able to afford. So our
Well,
ability to afford to is something we will consider as positive. Though farmers will also want to break even so that they can purchase their agricultural inputs and also use the returns to take care of their families. If you just oppose the advantages and the losses, I think that there is a lot of positive to talk about.
well, it's good. It's good you talked about purchasing power and the ability of people to purchase and relating it to the food inflation in the Upper West region. Well, but that is to the disadvantage of the farmer, as you said. But more importantly, last year at the height of that food glut, it is on record that the agric minister came out to take credit for for the the food situation in Ghana and attributed it to a lot of interventions that the government had rolled out. He mentioned feed Ghana and so many other initiatives. At the time, lots of people said, they should hold on, that it was early days yet, and that it wasn't possible for for a government that is less than a year old to have its interventions come to fruition that early. And it appears they may have a point there, because a few months down the line, you are aware that right now the most topical issue as far as agric is concerned is about shortage of tomatoes because of the ban that your neighbor, Burkina Faso, has put on the export of tomatoes. So, if indeed it is the case that it was a government's intervention that led to the bumper harvest, what happened to the bumper harvest of tomato? Why is Ghana struggling from shortage of tomato now?
Um, Thank you very much. A number of issues put together.
Mm.
For a government intervention when it comes to agric, normally it largely has to do with the supply of agricultural inputs, trying to assist farmers. But then farming has become a business, and that is what people should know. So the confidence in the system generally would inspire people to, in a way, increase their farm size. That alone is something we must point out, because when you have a government that is talking about 24-hour economy with an industrialization aspect attached, with many farmers anticipating that should they increase their farming size, they are likely to sell to, I mean, industries. Industries will be willing to purchase their goods as raw materials. it sort of determine their interest in increasing their investment into farming. So that alone is enough to change the narrative when it comes to agri. So for bumper harvest, it's not just one factor that we can tie to. Because I already indicated that even the rain pattern alone can determine a lot when it comes to agri and then the harvest thereafter. So I think that it is more political to say that a government cannot use a year to inspire young people through agricultural policies to go into farming that can increase the returns thereafter. Again, when you look at the issue of tomatoes, it is not as though Ghanaians do not do tomato farming. Yes, we do. However, our situation has always been that we've not been able to do enough all year round tomato farm. And that brings into play the subject of irrigation farming, which has been on the table for some time now. Yeah, we remember the MPP came in and promised to do a lot in this area by promising one village, one dam, which turned out only to be a political tool because none of the dams, they later changed the name to duckouts. Then Minister for Special Initiative actually admitted that the amount that was allocated wasn't enough to construct any single meaningful irrigation dam. So those dams we attempted constructing, none of them has been able to contribute to the irrigation farming narrative, particularly up north here. I am very familiar with the terrain here. Those areas that we can talk about when it comes to irrigation farming, the Tono area in the Upper East region, the Boku area, those places, yes, we produce a lot of tomatoes there, but that is not enough. You know, that is not enough to feed the entire country, because once you go beyond the harvest season, you see that many farmers are not able to shoulder the cost of farming because of how expensive irrigation farming has become, meaning that government has a lot to do in this area. So when it comes to this area, it is true that in the shortest time, it might not be possible to construct irrigation dams to take off and then begin to change the story. The Palugu Dam, which was so much of a noise by the previous government, championed by then Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, we later discovered that nothing had happened. And in fact, the contractor they awarded the contract to didn't do anything. So it has become a fiasco. So, but then, if you take that angle of construction of dams and then encouraging the usage of the existing few dams that we have at the north, you realize that many youths indeed have gone into this area. But that is not enough to handle this situation of our people having to go to Burkina Faso to import tomato. Secondly, I don't think the importation of vegetables, particularly tomatoes from Burkina Faso, has to do largely because of shortages in Ghana. People have had concerns to talk about quality. Even at the time of bumper harvest of tomatoes in Upper East region, you still have Ghanaian traders going to Burkina Faso to import tomatoes. So it is not largely because we do not have them, but the issue of quality is also something we should look at. So yes, the banding of the export of tomatoes to Ghana is going to affect us. And I think that it's a wake-up call to government. Government has not been able to address that fully, but I think this is the best time because people should always take advantage of such situations. The fact that another country says they will not export their goods to you automatically, indirectly will create jobs in your country. That is a positive aspect people are failing to look at. Once they say they will not export their tomatoes here, but the people of Ghana will still feed on tomato. And so people now seeing farming as business will exploit that to their advantage. So I believe the conversation is good now as government will take drastic measures to encourage people to go into all year round tomato farming. And again, enrolling its agricultural policies. We promised to revolutionize agriculture and make it a foundation of this economy. That is why we promised the farm centers policy. In that policy, we are expected to provide some machines like tractors, like combine harvester, like we are to also make the services of experts available to the local farmer to help them in the timing of their planning their crop season and also getting them the best of seeds. So the best of seeds will handle the issue of quality comparison that will influence people to import certain goods that really exist in Ghana here, but they will prefer to import elsewhere. Yes, I am not ready to just let this thing end at the political bite only as to whether we have done enough or not. At the end of the day, we have been given a 4-year mandate. My brother, the truth is that when it comes to agricultural investment, you do not just take one crop season to say that you have done enough. Perhaps you can even perform very well in a particular crop season, and the next crop season, the pattern will change, especially when the natural factors also exist. So I am very sure that government is going to take advantage of this situation. And I believe that later, Burkina Faso, when they later decide to export their tomatoes, may not have the opportunity to do so in Ghana. So we have not taken it only as a problem for the Ghanaian consumer. It fits into the overall agricultural policy of the government because we want to produce more, we want to consume our own, and we want to export the surplus. And so if we continue to import, then it defeats the essence of our policy to revolutionize the agricultural sector. So
Perfect.
government is going to work on it.
Yeah, that's a nice way to land on that topic because when you said that later when Burkina, I thought that you probably would have ended by saying that Burkina will be importing tomatoes from you because that should have been the natural scheme of things considering the environmental conditions. It should have been the other way around that Burkina Faso will be importing tomato from Ghana, but as fate may have it, this is where we are. But that is not the only. But that's not the only issue. Now, the other issue is that your party, the NDC party, campaigned hard on a number of issues. And one of the issues that you campaigned hard on was in the agri sector was cocoa farming. You made bold promises to the cocoa farmers that you were going to watch out for their interest, and that when given the mandate, that you were going to give them not less than 70% of the FOB price of cocoa on the world market. Now, your party came to power. You increased the price some way, somewhat, and in the same crop season, you decided to slash the thing by over 1,000 Ghana cedis per bag. Now, your opponents say that this is just double standards. and that at the time that at the time you're making a promise, you should have known that things are not static, before making a promise, and that you made a promise, won the hearts of the cocoa farmers. They voted for you, only for you now to shortchange the cocoa farmers and put them in a worse off situation. Now, this doesn't seem fair. That's that.
Um, if I would say the MPP has been trying so much to sort of leverage political bitterness as a result of their very embarrassing defeat never before in the political history of Ghana. And so anytime they just see an issue that should be of national concern to deserve of, very bold and constructive discussions, they will choose to play political gymnastics with it. Be that as it may, it is their choice, and I cannot decide the political strategy of the MPP. But my brother Albert, honestly, we promised to make the cocoa farmer better. But I think we need to always set the record straight. The MPP narrative cannot always be the fact. When there are documents of our manifesto available online to every Ghanaian, when all the things that we have said, we can actually check on them and play them back. At the time that this issue became a burning topic was at the time the current finance minister made the argument that the amount that was being given to the cocoa farmer at the time, as compared to the world market price at the time, the cocoa farmer was being shortchanged. And we promised that whatever amount that we were going to get from the sale of cocoa in the world market, we will make 70% of that available to the farmer. And the farmers actually did the calculations themselves and they bought into it. So the mathematics of yesterday, based on the world cocoa price at the time, and the calculation of today, based on the world cocoa price currently, you agree with me that there are differences. There will always be rise and fall of such commodities, and cocoa is not exempted. The debate should be whether or not the 70% that we promised, the current amount that is being paid the cocoa farmer, is it the 70% or not? I have not heard any MPP communicator make that argument. If you do the calculation, it is exactly the 70% amount that is being given the farmer. Of course, the farmer is not happy. We admit that the farmer is not happy, and that if we had our way, the cocoa farmer deserves better than what we are giving to them currently. Unfortunately, Ghana alone do not determine what happened at the global market. The global market dynamics exists on its own. Very different from the local dynamics. The local dynamics may only be about operational costs and what have you. And so we have not just given only the 70%, which has led to reduction because of the current price of cocoa in the world market. But remember that currently the cocoa farmer is giving free fertilizer. Their farms are sprayed free of charge. I don't know whether you are aware of this. This was not the case before. You are also aware that the cocoa farmer is enjoying some scholarship for their children. All of this, when you aggregate them, the impact, and then take the impact of local economic stability, inflation, and look at the the status of the local currency by way of its ability to appreciate over 40%, you will come to the conclusion that the Ghanaian farmer now, cocoa farmer, is better off than before. Imagine at the time that they were paid a certain amount and having to grapple with inflation of over 54%. That even when if you were to be giving even 10,000 per bag with 54% inflation, that would have eroded more than 90% of that entire amount. And so we price alone cannot be used to determine whether or not the farmer is better off now. But we grant them the opportunity to hold on to the straws and do the cocoa farm politics, to abandon parliament and go there. Unfortunately, when they go to those farms, they don't go to speak with the farmers. They go there and they sing, they dance samambo, and then they return and give us a different narrative. We are focused because we know that the situation is not going to be a permanent one. We know that global prices are fluctuating. I mean, tomorrow it could be different. And we are also doing a different financial engineering system for cocoa boards. So that alone, where our cocoa purchasing will be financed domestically. The president has been very instructive on this. It will give cocoa boards another opportunity to have enough funds to use to determine like we have in the petroleum industry, sinking fund, so that where there are changes in global prices, the fallout can be catered for, and the cocoa farmer will not feel the impact. Let them continue to do the samambo. I know that very soon, the crop season will be over. The drastic measures that were taken was not for the entire crop season. At the time of taking the decision, more than 70% of cocoa available to be purchased had already been purchased. The few that were still in the fields, that is where the impact will be felt. And so they now take it as though for the entire crop season, government had taken that drastic, austerity measure to sort of deny the cocoa farmer his fair share. It is not the case. And look, gone are the days where people would think that the cocoa farmer is not educated and not able to do the calculation and understand the world market dynamics. These people have become very sophisticated than we, the politicians ourselves. And so if you want to assume or to take advantage of your access to the media to want to be an authority over what is happening in the cocoa sector, sometimes you'll be embarrassed. I know that some cocoa farmers have also, they've also spoken. They have had to meet the government officials, and they had serious engagement on the way forward beyond the cheap political propaganda Dennis Miracle and his people have been doing. It's a revival process, and so we grant them that opportunity to do that, to revive their political careers. But I know that by the end of next year, the story will be different, and no MPP communicator will want us to discuss the cocoa sector again, because they would have known that what they left, they allowed the cocoa boards, in fact, to run into mess. They left a debt. They signed so many contracts and they couldn't supply. And these suppliers, contractors were on our neck. If it is not because of the confidence in the system, by now cocoa board would have collapsed, my brother. It is because of the disciplined nature of this government. It is because of the new confidence that people have in the system. And now investors now feel free to renegotiate with the government, to do new agreements with the government, so that with time we can deal with those bottlenecks. So I am very confident that it's a process. It's a process. It is not an event, as people want us to believe.
Let me take you to this topic, then we go for a short break and we come back. Connected to the cocoa and its other auxiliary activities, came into focus one issue that became topical, which was the cocoa roots. Now, if we tie that into the government's master plan for roads, which I think is spearheaded or championed by the Big Push agenda, the government have sought to connect the country, like they said, through all its major access, connecting at least all regions to each other, so that they can open up the country for free flow of goods and people. However, the criticism against that policy is that instead of concentrating routes in places where human beings live, that your government or your party in government is rather putting routes where people don't live, in bushes where human beings don't live. That is where you are constructing routes. And that's for maybe the major flagship of that agenda, which is the Accra Kumasi Express route. That there is already, a route that is being constructed and being done from Accra to Kumasi. And your duty and that what you're obsessed with is to abandon that and try to do a fresh route all the way from Accra to Kumasi. So, I mean, if roads are that important, just as you saw for the carting of goods in the cocoa industry, which forced cocoa board to go into cocoa roads, why have your government not decided to focus your attention on the roads, like your opponents say, where people are, where people need them, rather than spread them all over the country in places where they are not needed at all?
It is ridiculous. You see, the NDC promised this policy first in 2020 elections, which we didn't win, and then in the 2024 elections. The Big Push agenda is a well thought through infrastructural policy. A policy, if well implemented, would redefine the infrastructure status of this country. You see, when people make the argument that we are constructing roads at where people do not live, it is very insulting to the people of Ghana. It is the biggest insult to all those who are going to be beneficiaries of those road linkages across the country. And the people are listening. There is never any major infrastructure move that the NDC had taken in time past that the MPP will not be against it. Even the Kumasi KTA market, the MPP mobilized market women to do demonstration. In fact, some of them were naked demonstration against government intervention to construct a modern market, a global standard market for the people of the Ashanti region. They said that it was overly ambitious. They said that the amount could be channeled into so many sectors of the economy to create jobs. Yet we constructed that market. And today, the people of Ashanti region will always remember President John Dramani Mahama just because of that policy, even though all the phases are not yet complete. So today, if government has started enrolling the Big Push, which they thought that it was never possible when we said that we were going to inject over 10 billion United States dollars into that project alone. They asked where we're going to get the money from and all of that. Today, I am happy that they have shifted the goalpost. They are now saying that, oh, we can get the money. However, we are constructing the roads at where human beings are not living. In fact, I am waiting to hear them cite one of those roads where they think that human beings are not living around the area. I don't understand that argument. It's the most lame argument to make in public discourse, especially on huge platforms like this. Look at Ghana. Look at the settlement of most farmers. Do you expect the cocoa farmers to just group at one place like we are here in Wa, and so that one road to Wa is enough to help us transport our precious goods like cocoa from cocoa areas that are not accessible to places that we can pick them up for early processing and exports? Or you are just saying that we should allow the status quo so that cocoa farmers struggle to use bicycles or carry by their heads and bring their cocoa produce to Accra for us to now go and export? I think we must be thinking ahead. If you look as far back before even independence, my brother, if you look at some of the railways that were constructed, if you read the rationale behind the construction of those railways, it were purposely to convey commercial agricultural produce, to convey commercial, and precious minerals like diamond and other places from areas that were that mining sites were found, so that we could transport those precious materials to where we needed them for exports. That was the thinking then. So many years ahead, when we are talking about constructing roads to link cocoa growing areas so that we create access for cocoa produce not to get wasted in the farms, the more we allow those areas not to be accessible, that is the time that even when we have good prices, farmers will still come out to come and complain. Tie that to the tomato issue. If in Upper East region, sometimes the rice and tomatoes get wasted in the farms, not because people do not need them to consume, but how to bring them out of the farms to accessible areas for markets, they are not able to do. And so the big push has created the biggest fear in the MPP. They think that with a well implementation of the big push, they will have no message in the next election. You see, where I come from, the Upper West region, in time past, just from Wa to Techima, very short distance that you needed just virtually some 3-4 hours to travel to be there. You have to waste more than 7 good hours because of bad roads. At a time, we're even cut off completely. So one could not travel straight from Wa through the Wenchi road to Techima. You have to meander all around to pass through Tamale and back to Upper West. If you take Upper West linking the Upper East region, the story is not different. The Tumu-Nevrongo road were cut off, and people could not travel from Upper West to Upper East. And so today, if we have a policy like Big Push that is prioritizing, giving standard roads that will last, roads that will have a certain quality like never before. And people are saying that human beings do not live there. It means that they are insulting the good people of Upper West region. They are insulting the people of Upper East region. And They are insulting the people of Mercy. The reason is that one of the well-class route that will be constructed is the express route from Accra to Kumasi. As an entirely new project. They have not stopped any old project that is currently being done by contractors. Contractors are on site, and in fact, the Minister of Road had visited those roads that they claim that government had abandoned. They visited those places, and your counterparts here, covered that life. So I don't know which road they think that deserve attention, and the government has shifted focus to construct the big push road. The big push roads are targeting commercially viable roads.
Well, so let me remind you of something. The former minister, the immediate past minister of roads and roads, who is also an MP from the Ashanti region, wrote a petition to the president asking him to stop the express route from Accra to Kumasi and to concentrate on the other one, that the bypasses that they were constructing. So, I mean, if you are saying that it's an insult to the people of Kumasi, this is somebody who is from Kumasi, Ashanti region, Kumasi itself, and he has petitioned the president that he doesn't think it's necessary and that his people would appreciate it if they invested the money in constructing the longer road so that the people can go to his region. Is that not fair?
This minister, I don't know what informed that poor decision, poor sense of judgment on national issues. I don't know why people want to, succumb to their own egos without considering the repercussions of whatever action thereafter. If you petition the government to stop roads, we'll take the petition. You see, the people of Ghana signed a social contract with the NDC government, which is the big push is part of the NDC manifesto, and that becomes the social contract we have signed with the people. So legally, we have to discharge that mandate to the good people of the Ashanti region. They knew of the policy and they voted for us. And they are the people that are going to benefit more from this, because if you are talking of an express road, you you are in a better position to know. And the whole of Ghana, you take away the Temamoto way and few other maybe peripheral routes within the capital. Which other route in this country can we compare to a route like the express highway that we have started to work on to give to the people of Ghana? And so instead of looking at the commercial viability of the project, he is saying that because some other projects are going slowly, we should stop. We just should stop the expressway. I mean, that is, I cannot appreciate.
Well, I think we may have lost connection to our guest for today briefly. And if you are listening to us this evening, this is MyView Show here live on Today Ghana News TV, where this evening we are joined by Mr. Dennis Andabang, who is the communications officer of DBI, Daviama Busse Esa constituency or district in the Upper West region. And this evening we are trying to recap or assess the performance of the NDC government virtually 1 year down the line since the NDC party took over the reins of governance of the country. We have traversed some other topics, including agriculture. We've taken a look at the intervention that the government have made in agriculture, right from the time they took over up until now, and how that has contributed to food security in the country. We have also talked about cocoa, and we were on a big push, and Dennis was telling us about a big push and its impact on the country before we lost him briefly. Welcome back, Dennis.
Thank you. I don't know what happened. My brother, I was on the point that we will receive such a petition and we will keep it very well for him. We will make sure that that project is really completed. And so when we are done with that project, we send the petition back to the people of the Ashanti region. When he and his people go there to campaign, they will have to explain why they kick against the development of the Ashanti region while looking for their own personal parochial interest. Because the big push, if you look at the 1992 constitution, the NDC just did not promise anything that came up, just like they were saying one this, one that. The NDC is not like that. If you look at the 1992 constitution very well, particularly from Article 34 of the 1992 constitution, the whole of that chapter 6 talks about directive principles of state policy. It gives the benchmark of which governance is done. And so road infrastructure, the health that we promise, a smooth governance, a governance that people can trust and participate in, all of them were teased from the directive principles of state policy. We did not just sit down and say that we are going to do A and B. That is how comes our policies are very feasible, and that is how comes we are getting the needed investment into those policies. So this road minister, when they came, they didn't know that roads were very critical. They waited that when the situation became very dire and people were demonstrating, they now declared a particular year as year of roads. My brother, most of the roads that we have just started with, 1 year will not be enough to complete those projects. So if you sit down and you didn't know what to do and you wanted to just use 1 year to declare that year of roads, so out of our mandate of 8 years, we are going to dedicate only 1 year to construct roads. And you think that you will achieve, you are not going to achieve. That is how comes those projects didn't get anywhere. And so upon the assumption of power, we have said that those projects, we are going to find money and continue and complete with them. Even at the basic level, the district level, there has been this kind of legacy projects. Anytime common fund is released, the local assemblies are directed to include some legacy projects so that gradually we can deal with all the projects that they started and they couldn't complete, virtually because they had to take 1 year. It's not different from the Agenda 111. So those projects that are left uncompleted, they are not to determine the pace of work. If it were so, why didn't they finish them in an entire 8-year period? I wrote 8 years, you couldn't complete it. Hospital, Agenda 111, it was Agenda 88. Now Agenda 111, that ended as a political propaganda tool. You couldn't complete a single one. We have inherited this burden, yet that has not stopped the innovation of our government. We have brought something that is novel in the entire SAP region. Big push. And instead of you to loud and even lobby that more projects should come to your region, you are rather saying that government should not mind the people of Ashanti region. They shouldn't give them those roads. What you have started, the Sofo line interchange and the Swami roundabout, that you couldn't do anything about, that we should use the money and give and do all those projects alone and not add any projects again. No, I don't think that they can dictate how we should govern this country. Of course, if there are issues that they want to point out and criticize, we welcome that. But this is not criticisms. We are simply saying that government, don't construct this road. Abandon it and go and complete a certain project. Projects we are already struggling at dedicating monies to complete. You now want to do as if you are forcing government to tie government hands, so that when we are not able to discharge our mandate well, they will be the very people that will come here and make that noise, that look at their manifesto. They promised big push, they couldn't do it. The people of Ghana are wise. That is why they voted them out, even upon all the deceit that the economy was a junk status because of COVID. That is was junk status because of a certain war. No, they blame everything external except their own incompetence, except their untrammeled corruption. Those were the only things they didn't blame. They never blamed themselves in the midst of serious scandals. One day, every day came with a scandal. And all of these are still fresh in the memories of citizens. And you are saying we should not execute our policies. We will execute them. We will take his petition, but we send the petition back to the people of Ashanti region to assess the merits of same and reply him accordingly. If such people are not talked to, they are the very people that will collapse the MPP. It is not the way we are developing this country that will collapse this country, because anytime we come to power, we come and develop, they come and destroy. But the only thing that will collapse the MPP is the attitude of some of their big men, like this former road minister. Look, we had a flood situation in the Upper West region, and most of our critical roads were cut off. This man came in here with a helicopter and stood publicly and told the people of Upper West region that in the space of 2 weeks, he was going to release an emergency fund of over 50 million Ghana cedis for some emergency work to be done. And later, those portions of roads will be captured by their so-called year of roads contracts. He went that day. He was all over the region. He was praised, and he was even called to one of the palaces here and was given a very beautiful smoke. When he left, he never returned. None of those roads, Albert, none. Say none of those roads have been worked on. It includes your district. Most of the roads in your district, the Nadoli Kelo, were washed off completely. You could not even move from, if you get to just from Goriyiri, in between Goriyiri and Nadoli, the bridge there was totally washed off. That portion of road is still like that. The gravel that was used to fill is still there like that. Government is trying to use big push to fix these major problems. And someone is saying we should focus on what? The best constructive argument from any kind-hearted politician will be for the ruling government to focus on its manifesto and deliver that to the expectation of the citizens. If we have a politician that is saying that, please don't execute your manifesto, don't do that, then I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I believe that I believe that people certainly will be laughing at this man. He is not serious. In opposition, what we did was that we engaged in constructive criticisms. We offered alternative policies. We didn't go about just writing petitions to stop policies. When the people are paying taxes, they also expect development. And so the people of the Ashanti region also expect a fair share of the national cake. And this government that is an inclusive government will want to distribute the national cake equitable. And so that people of Ashanti region must enjoy their fair share of the national cake. And we will ensure that whatever plan that government has to give to the people of the Ashanti region, we are not going to be distracted. We will go ahead and satisfy the people. If you go to Kumasi itself, the Ashanti regional minister, Amwakuhene, who is there executing numerous policies. Those are not even central government projects. Instead of lauding the guy, they have been insulting the young man, calling him a TikTok or social media minister. The reason is just that he's making the MPP unpopular in the region. And I am not surprised. More of these petitions, I encourage them to bring. Eventually, even when we fix the cocoa mess that they left, and now want to give more money to the cocoa farmer, they should bring another petition that, hey, we shouldn't give the cocoa farmer more money. Eventually, when we want to employ more youth, the more unemployed youth in this country that suffered under their watch, that they sold recruitment slots to. And now we want to deal with them. They should know that we are dealing with the unemployment situation. They should bring another petition that we shouldn't employ them. We have to be serious in this country. What kind of political discourse is this?
That Dennis, before let me tackle this before my viewers also petition my producer on their behalf. I think at this point, let's take some comments from our viewers and listeners. I think we probably will not have to, we probably cannot go for a break, but we'll take some comments that we have received from our viewers and listeners. Then we will return and may probably take a look at one more topic, and then we bring the show to a close. We have a comment from Frank Pombafi. Good evening. Good evening to you. You say you're watching from Akusi near Somenya. Thank you very much, Frank Pong, for doing the watching. Mavis Boateng, he said, good evening. Good evening to you as well. You said you are watching with the family from Lisbon, Portugal. Nice show. Thank you very much, Mavis, for always watching the show. The next comment is from NDC Diaspora Union. He said, greetings, comrades. You are doing a great job. You are watching from Amsterdam, Holland. You are working for God and country. Thank you very much for the kind comments, NDC Diaspora Union. Jaframa TV, you say you are watching from Rara. Good evening to you. On Today Ghana News TV. It's amazing how you connect people from all over the world for your show. Thank you very much, Jaframa TV, for joining us. Nanetta from, you say greetings from Tatali, Northern Ghana, and greetings from Sakina Information Center listeners. Thank you very much to you, and thank you to the listeners of Sakina Information Center. Robert Kimpe, you said, good evening, Albert and your team. Good evening to you as well. The young man is good. He has more brighter days ahead of him. You are watching from Paris, France. Thank you very much, Robert, for joining us for the show this evening. Sikapa family, say good evening to you. The young man is doing enough information concerning agric in the north. You are watching from Jumapo near Koforidia. Thank you very much, Sikapa TV. Rudolph Juga, I suppose. Upper West is indeed safe in the hands of TB Sly and Dennis Andaban, leading our communication front. Rudolph, good evening to you. I'm sure you are an NDC member. Lady Mal _2, you say, I am very impressed with a young man. Kudos to him. You are watching from watching on Twitch from St. Petersburg, Russia. Thank you very much, Lady Mal _2. Larry Ken, you see, great submission by Comrade Dennis Andaban. Thank you very much, Ken, for your comment. We are grateful to you. Zibodi Efua, you see a wonderful show. You are watching from Sunyani. Thank you very much, Efua, for joining us for the show. Frima Oyi, good evening to you for watching. You said You are watching from Manfinia, who Kuku politics won't help the MPP. Well, we have to tell them that again. Nyame, your boy, you said you are 100% in support. You are watching from Nkwanta in the Oti region. Thank you very much. The popular tea seller. I think Patrick is the name I can tease out from this handle. Excellent submission. Thank you very much, Patrick, for your comments. Grateful that you were able to join us. Pascal, you said great submission. Dennis Andabang watching from Kumasi. Thank you very much, Pascal, for joining us, and thank you very much for your comment. Bertrand, you said good and eloquent submission, but the rules in Upper West region should be looked at again. We need standard. We need the highest standards. Thank you very much for your comment. We are thankful to all our viewers and listeners who made time to join us this evening and for contributing to the show. Thank you very much for joining us, and we are grateful to all our listeners on Sakina Information Center and Adelima Information Center, on the King's Radio, and all other social media platforms where our viewers and listeners are joining us this evening. We are grateful to you for your time, as we welcome Dennis again for us to run the show now and bring it to an end. Right. Thank you, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you, my brother.
The viewers are impressed by your submission, as am I, and the production team as well. So we have one more topic. There are several things to discuss, but one show is not enough to assess the performance of the NDC government. So we would end on this last topic, which is one of the topics that your party also campaigned strongly on, for which you were given the mandate of governance to deal with, which is oral, which is corruption. You know, what in the during the time of the ex-Wal MPP administration, your party opposition campaigned a lot, and you said it got to a point where you said we had a point where it was a one scandal. And you made promises that if given the mandate, you were going to exert accountability on those who had looted the resources of the state, and that you were going to recoup them and bring them back to the state coffers. Now, about more than 1 year down the line, the criticism is that there isn't one single person who have been convicted, and there haven't been any instance where you say you can't probably say that you have retrieved money to the state. So this whole oral matter, was it just, a political mantra to hoodwink the people of Ghana so that they can give you power, and then you can come back later to give them excuses and tell them that the wheels of justice grind slowly? So you knew that when you were making the promise. Now you are in power. Where are the loots that you said you're going to recover?
Thank you very much. Let me thank our viewers who are viewing across the globe. We also thank them for their participation. I mean, without their participation, our discourse will not be interesting. So I also thank them. On the issue of oral, my brother, the oral was not a political mantra. The promise is a realistic one, and we are sure that it is going to be successful. I can understand that many citizens are not patient enough, and that is legitimate because they saw what thievery and corruption did to this country. They saw how people diverted the national cake, shared same with pride, and some even ran away. Immediately power changed hands. They ran away and vowed never to return. But I believe in one thing. We are no longer in the days of military regime, where we cannot just accuse someone, even when the evidence is palpably clear. Then we go and line the person up, cane the person, or execute the person, or torture the person. We have gone past those days. And so when we were promising the oral, we knew of this, and we situated that in context, that being in a democratic rule, we were going to subject all those that have been accused, or the accused, to fair trial. And indeed, the 1992 Constitution is the supreme law of the country. So in as much as we are working hard to subject people to the law, to ensure that we recover whatever thing they might have looted from the state, we need to be cautious that we are using the laws of Ghana. If you look at Article 19 of the 1992 Constitution and read it entirely, it tells you that the prosecution must ensure that there is fair trial. Fair trial here means that the accused will have his day in court and make a case. It is not the government prosecution team that will pronounce the person guilty. The duty of the government prosecution is to investigate, gather concrete evidence, and send the person to court. It is the court that will listen to the argument and counter arguments and take a decision. It is the decision of the court that will help the state to recover or not. And so I am aware that there are a number of cases in courts. And so the prosecutor would not dictate the pace of the case. Normally it's the court, the provision I have referred to, Article 19. It's the court that will take us through the process. Our duty will be to make sure we adduce incontrovertible evidence that will implicate those people we believe honestly that their actions and inactions in time past have denied this country certain resources. And we need those resources back to help in development. Of recent, you are aware that the MPA case involving Hamid, that one was even started with the special prosecutor, in the early days before we finally took over. That case is progressing. You are aware of the NSS scandal that happened, Gifty Owari and other 21 people. The public is not aware that it's not only Gifty. There are more than 21 officials in that particular scandal alone who are in court. And the case is progressing. If the national security scandal that happened, that case is also in court, and parties are in court trying to defend their position. And so the oral is not going to be a one-day event that we are going to summon all the accused and lock them up. We are going to subject them to the dictates of the law. But one thing is very clear, that most of these people will certainly refund to the nation whatever they have stolen. It is true that as for a justice system, that is how it is. It is slow. And so sometimes people will think that we should resort to the military regime tactics where we just call the person, but we cannot go back and do those things. Let Ghanaians be patient. We, as party communicators, one thing good about the NDC is that we feel free to even criticize the system. As and when we think that the government is relaxing or, quote unquote, is cutting some deals not to prosecute some of these officials, some of us are going to come up and criticize the government publicly. But we are not there yet. Even in minor cases, perhaps you need to know that I'm a student of law. Even in minor cases, in courts. Sometimes it will take not less than a year, minor cases. But we are talking about most cases that involve financial malfeasance, and that tracing the trends is very complicated. There are so many witnesses that are needed to adduce evidence and what have you. I expect that, in fact, it will not be done in a matter of a year or two. If we are able to experience some recovery within a year, it is perhaps because some accused will give up in the legal process to say that, oh, at this point, I think that the court should permit me make that special application and then recover. And if government is satisfied with the bidding, then so be it. Other than that, it is the rulings of the court, it's the judgment that will decide whether or not recovery is possible. But I argue that the recovery is possible and we are going to recover millions of cedis. Take that aside. In the State of Nations address presented by the president recently, some updates were given. You realize that there have been some savings, some recovery by way of assets. If they say assets, so if Albert is an accused and you are to face the court and the prosecution suspects that by virtue of allowing you have access to all your property, you can engage in certain things by transferring them offshore or to other destinations that prosecution cannot trace. They can make an application and have your accounts or whatever frozen. And they have reported to us that some gains have been done in that respect. The government spokesperson also reiterated that point, that government prosecution has been able to make some recovery when it comes to assets, frozen the accounts of Untimi, for instance, who is in court. The man who was displaying gold bars, you can tell the sort of assets that this man is keeping. So these assets are frozen, and for now they are at the custody of the states till the court determine otherwise. You also realize that Yoko has been doing something, independent on their own, different and distinct from what the Attorney General is doing. And it is reported that they've also made some recovery of some 600 million Ghana cedis, if I had the figure right. That was also reported in the State of Nations address. So perhaps we need to double our efforts in communicating the progress of work so far as this oral thing is concerned. I think there is a lot of progress. So many cases are before the courts. Others are also being investigated. The MPP, they want to take advantage of the system, that because our people are a bit impatient in seeing that the MPP ex-officials are prosecuted. They now want to take advantage and say that, okay, you people promise that you will prosecute. You haven't prosecuted one single person. Are we going to jump the court processes and catch them and throw them into the jail? Of course, that is not how it is done. You realize that even when they attempted prosecuting some of the NDC people in their regime, some of the cases, traveled more than 8 years. And throughout their regime, they couldn't find those people culpable. That is how the legal process is. It is necessary because sometimes the accused can also be proven innocent. And so I believe in a system where the courts will give all the fair hearing to the accused. And you see, we are also working at reactivating special courts that will speed up the process. In actual fact, there should be courts designated for some dedicated cases, maybe issues of corruption. And I think it will help the nation to speed up the process of justice delivery in the country. Other than that, it is not the business of government now. We just say that we will not subject the people through the court processes for long. We are delaying, so let's catch them. No. One of the accusations of the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who is at large, who ran away and vowed never to return to face prosecution. One of his argument out there was that he wasn't sure of getting fair hearing should he return to the country. And I was surprised. A distinguished individual like him, who has been in the country, has made money, has milked the country, and also made money through legitimate means through his business, should know that having access to, legal services, having serious lawyers, that will help him to discharge his part of the court process. You know that the courts cannot just say that he should be jailed without taking him through what the Constitution stipulates in Article 19. And so he was only trying to take an excuse because he feels that it is better to be ashamed in a foreign land than to be ashamed in this country. And the MPP has been encouraging this. People who claim that they are against corruption, people who claim that they are lovers of democracy, believe that after serving, officials of past government should run away and not make themselves available for accountability. You see, accountability is a cardinal pillar in the 1992 Constitution. And once you accept a public duty, to lead, then you have to also be willing to account one day when you have to account. That is why we always say that there is a day of what? Reckoning. And so the people of Ghana should with us. We will ensure, because we need more resources. We need more resources to develop.
Well, I think we might have lost Dennis again. Yeah, but just before we lost him, he was trying to run up on the issue of oral. Yes, so welcome back, Dennis. So in a minute or so, let's wrap it up, and then we will see. So you are talking about resources that are needed.
Okay, so I am saying that Ghanaians should exercise a bit of patience with us. We are committed to the legal processes. We respect the laws. And so as champion of democracy, we will use the law to make sure that all the monies that are looted are recovered. They should be confident. We have time to deal with that. And there is some progress. So from time to time, we will double out our effort in communicating progress of work to the people of Ghana. So let no one be discouraged. It might be slow, but the resource will be resource that will help this country and determine the future of governance in this state. We cannot have a situation where someone betray the public duty and use same to steal, to enrich themselves, and when they hand over power, they run to another state to go and enjoy whatever they have looted. That cannot be allowed to fester. It will draw our democracy back, and the NDC government is going to change this narrative, and that the oral is not just going to be a policy against the MPP appointees. And so we've always cautioned our own appointees that if you engage in some wrongdoing, as for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, it's not like Nana Akufo-Addo who will just clear you. They will subject you to the laws of the country, and if you have to be jailed, you will be jailed. And there is precedent to it in the first John Mahama regime, we prosecuted our own. Yeah, I can remember my own brother, Abuga Pele, how we subjected him to the law, and eventually he was convicted. And so let people have confidence in the system. Yes, we may have a very good discussion on how we can make the process faster by calling on the legal experts, the judiciary. Maybe we can consider that in the constitutional review thing that we are doing, how we can ensure that such cases are dealt with, so that we don't spend so many years trying to prove a case in courts.
Perfect. Well, yes, in case you have maybe like final words for our viewers and listeners, this will be a right time for you to share that with them briefly before we come to a close.
Oh, okay, my brother. Let me thank the viewers, all those who have been supporting this government to execute its mandate. I'm encouraging them not to relent, and let's not allow the propaganda of the MPP to draw us back. Let's be focused. Right now, what they are doing is creating fake Facebook accounts and throwing about series and litany of allegations across board. That is meant to cause distraction. That is meant to cause some disaffection for government. And I want to encourage the people of Ghana to always take a step further to, find out and get the right information. But for now, the government is committed in ensuring that the public purse is safe. Those that have looted, we are making recoveries and we recover more. Government is working. You remember the finance minister has just disclosed that very soon we will be employing more in the public sector. And so many youth who have been lamenting, who have been showing frustration, this is the time to be hopeful that this government is well informed of the sort of problems that existed before coming into power, and that we will work to bring a relief, to make sure that everybody feel belong. It is not going to be a country for the few privileged. Everybody will get something home, and it will give us all the opportunity to know that Ghana is ours, and we will work collectively towards pushing it to another level of development. Let me thank the good people of Upper West region, especially the appointees who are doing very well. I must say that Albert, I'm a consistent critic. I criticize a lot. I've been watching carefully all the appointees here in the Upper West region, and I must confess that they are doing fantastic, and that they should keep it up and continue to make sure that the people in the grassroots feel the impact of John Dramani Mahama-led administration. I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to having you more to discuss very pertinent issues for the development of this country.
Today, Ghana News TV, we are the masters of the game.
Indeed, the thanks below. We rather thank you for making time to join us this evening and for sharing your time with us and for eloquently sharing your submission and for bringing a lot of things to light to our viewers and listeners. We're grateful to you, Dennis Anderban, for joining us. And judging from the comment from our viewers and listeners, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before they vote that you are back on the show. And we pray and hope that once we call upon you, you shall make time to join us, to share with us your opinions and your views as usual. Thank you very much for making time to join us.
Thank you very much. I'm always available.
And we are also grateful to you for making time to join us, just as we are grateful to our regular viewers and listeners who make time to join us every Monday evening for MyView Show. We are grateful to our viewers on Sakina Information Center in Tatali. Also, we are also grateful to all our listeners on Adilemai Information Center. Also, we are grateful to our viewers on High FM 93.7 in Achuhima in this region. Also, we are thankful to our listeners on the King's Radio in Accra, and to all those who joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on all other platforms. We are grateful to you, and we say a very big thank you for making time to join us. Until we come out your way again next week with yet another exciting show. We say thank you to you. Stay blessed. Stay safe. God bless you. God bless Ghana. Good night.
Oh, say yay! The African Arts, Food, Music and Culture Festival, Armenia 2026. Society, Yapa Huntim of Francis Consuls, Eto Esa Afro Esbitesa, Ewa Ghana, any Africa, Sabe showcase creativity, Ewa global stage, so we artists, fashion designer, chef, musician, Anna Empo, cultural entrepreneur, any woman, so what the African young creativity, ever the global stage, Ewa Europe, ya boy ya pomo atuho, ya show registration I say, and it's 2% participating, and now on getting more information there, any other contact in Ewa Humatu so +374 558 508 11 and +233 542 545 815. Following our Facebook, Ope and Sembisa Ana Bibi Piata Efaye Hon. Ubetimi I email and so ewo African Cultural Festival 2018 at gmail.com. African Arts, Food, Music and Culture Festival, Armenia 2026, made of way, Africa.